President Trump has 1,500 active duty troops on standby for deployment. The critical need now to control violent anti-ICE protests in the Twin Cities. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. The tactics are terrifying. Anti-ICE agitators, though, have now sunk to a new level, targeting a church.
This is the house of God, and we are...
This takes the country back to a time when churches were the target. As we mark Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s day today, our day of observance, when churches in this country were under attack, and these people on the night before do this. That's in St. Paul, Minnesota. It happened yesterday. They interrupted service, screamed at worshipers. A mob storming the sanctuary to confront a pastor who was allegedly linked to Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, according to them, and they wanted to take him down. The Justice Department has opened a civil rights investigation. A conservative commentator with an astute observation, quote, "I'm no historian, but I don't think there's ever been a situation in the past 100 years where the people storming the churches were the good guys." Meanwhile, the Democrat mayor of Minneapolis is still turning up the temperature. He did so in his city while it's in chaos. Watch the latest.
My primary job in Minneapolis is to keep people safe. That safety is being put in jeopardy, not by our Minneapolis residents, not by our local law enforcement that is working tirelessly, but by an invasion that is taking place in our city.
I wonder if he's been to that church yet, just to check on everybody and see if they feel safe. Critics are blaming that kind of rhetoric from Mayor Jacob Frey for days and days of what we keep seeing. Oh, let's call them criminal, shall we? They're violent. They're disorderly. They're out of control. And we know they hate because some of them decided to burst into a sanctuary inside of a church. Agitators over the weekend were keeping up all of their harassment of federal agents. ICE confirming the arrest of at least 2 people for accused assaulting agents and refusing to obey commands. Adam Schwarze is a Republican Minnesota Senate candidate. He's in focus coming up. We begin with our reporter in St. Paul, Matt Finn. Matt.
Harris, this is the church behind me that these activists marched into yesterday mid-service, disturbing the peaceful atmosphere. They started screaming anti-ICE chants, getting in churchgoers' faces, all because they say one of the associate pastors works for ICE.
ICE out! ICE out! You like ICE? You support ICE? ICE out!
Protesters shouted ICE out in the name of Jesus and chanted the name of Renee Good, the woman DHS says an ICE agent shot in self-defense earlier this month. Don Lemon, a former news anchor, says he followed the protesters into the church. An organizer told Lemon that it was a clandestine operation meant to disrupt a, quote, key location. The Department of Justice is launching a civil rights investigation and says they're also looking into whether there was a racial element at play. One protester who confronted churchgoers called them, quote, comfortable white people and shouted, "You have your nice jewelry. What do you do to stand with your Somali and Latino community?" Attorney General Pam Bondi spoke to the pastor whose church was targeted and says attacks against law enforcement and the intimidation of Christians are being met with the full force of federal law. DOJ Senior Advisor Alina Habba on Fox this morning.
The Department of Justice will come down hard. Our Civil Rights Division will come down hard on anybody who tries to impede or intimidate somebody in a place of worship.
Now, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey have been very outspoken over the past couple of weeks. We began reaching out to them yesterday about this incident. So far, they have not returned our request for comment. ICE has responded, saying, quote, Tim Walz and Jacob Frey are responsible for whipping these mobs into a frenzy. Harris.
Matt Finn, thank you very much. And focus now, Adam Schwarze, Republican Minnesota candidate for U.S. Senate. Great to have you on the program. I've been reading your social media. I want to get your immediate reaction because I know you're running and you're speaking directly to potential constituents. ICE out in the name of Jesus is what they yelled inside of a church yesterday.
Well, good morning, Harris. Thank you so much for having me on. This is what happens, and it should be a warning call to all of America of what happens when you allow radical leftist politicians to support anarchy and anarchism through a radical socialist agenda in a major city.
I want to know what the take is on the ground, because there can't be all that many people trying to get to work and do those other things who have the time, the energy, and the desire to be out in the streets, not just protesting, but breaking the law. So what's life like, say, if you just want to be a normal Minnesotan?
Well, if you're a normal Minnesotan, you have to avoid Minneapolis because there still are paid protesters in the streets right now. I drove through Minneapolis. Every single street that I drove through had at least one broken car window. Half the city was boarded up. Their windows are boarded up. That's not peaceful. That's not protest, and it's un-American. When they're breaking into churches, that is the most un-American thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I fought for America, my life, and what's happening right now in the streets and in our state, our great state, is anything but American.
Look, I know you served, and the president has on standby 1,500 soldiers from the Army's 11th Airborne Division to come in and, if they're needed, to keep the peace in all of this. What's your take on that and the use of potentially the Insurrection Act?
Yeah, great question. The Insurrection Act, it is a last resort, and it's something that hasn't been used in a long time. And it's insane that we're talking about 2025. But why is that? How did we get here? It's not because of President Trump. It's because of President Biden's failed border policies, and then you have failed leadership in Minnesota. Walz, Flanagan, Jacob Frey removing all the law enforcement apparatuses right now. So what you're seeing is ICE in the streets, unprotected, unsupported. So in order to fill the public safety gap, President Trump is taking control, and that's leadership, frankly. We need a leader that's going to step up. And sure, all of the actions are not perfect, but the status quo in our cities and our streets was not safe. So what President Trump is doing is supporting the law and rule of order, and we need to restore the law and rule of order in our streets.
Are you worried more people are going to get hurt? On both sides of this. I mean, I know people point fingers one way or the other, but I'm worried about the citizens who aren't a part of this at all. They just want to get to the job.
Absolutely. I am very concerned about right now what's happening in my streets, my hometown. But listen, we need to stop out the chaos, and you do that with law and order. And right now, Walz, Flanagan just said the other day, put your bodies on the line. And then we have an innocent lady being shot who was not innocent. She was impeding law enforcement operations. But that is continuing to stoke the flames and bringing in further protesters on top of all these leftist organizations that are bringing in paid protesters. So this is a really, really scary situation. But again, we need law and order. That's how you solve the problem.
Here's Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey's latest take on the protests engulfing his city.
People in Minneapolis are speaking up. They're speaking up peacefully. They're standing up for their neighbors. And this is not just about resisting Trump. This is about loving and caring for the people that call this city home. And it's been inspiring.
Let's take a look at that peace and love and inspiration. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche with this.
It's absurd for the media and some of these politicians to call what these folks are doing as peaceful protests. They're throwing rocks at ICE officers. They are standing in the roadway where they try to drive by. They're putting their vehicles in the roadway while they try to drive by.
You know, I'm curious if most of those people know anything about Renee Nicole Good, the woman who rammed her car into an ICE agent when the beginning of all of this happened, she and her wife were taunting and showing up at different scenes where some of the same ICE agents were. And she is the person who ended up dead. And now we tip into this. Talk to me about your city, about your state. How do you come back from this?
Well, Harris, it's really important to realize that this is all a distraction by Walz and Flanagan to detract from the $19 billion in fraud. That's why they're stoking the flame, so we can distract the American public from the real leadership failure, which was $19 billion, which is why Walz stepped out of the race. And yet Peggy Flanagan, Walz's lieutenant governor, thinks she deserves a promotion. As somebody who served in the military for 21 years, you don't get a promotion when you fail a mission. She's failed for her entire administration, and now she's trying to get a promotion to the United States Senate. And in the wake of all the fraud being uncovered, now they're trying to deflect attention and fan the flames into these tragedies, which is, again, also a making of their own demise.
Are you telling people to cooperate with ICE? Because politicians aren't really saying much on the ground at this point.
Well, there's just a lack of leadership in Minnesota. The politicians, again, are using their platform to try to continue the division and the chaos and to support the anarchy. I, as somebody who loves America, always has supported the rule of law. That's one of the beautiful things about America is we don't break into churches and try to drag pastors into the streets. We don't break into public places like people who are having lunch and try to drag them into the street and accost them, assault them because they support law enforcement. By the way, they weren't even trying to do that. No, leadership is doing the hard thing. Leading is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. And that's why when President Trump is bringing in law enforcement to fill this gap, that's what we should be supporting, is the rule of law.
ICE is the tip of that spear. They're going after the worst of the worst who want to live among us, even though they never deserve to be in this country. Thank you.
God bless them.
God bless them indeed.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.